Okay, so today we're going to do a deep dive into something that's, I think, on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
Especially in cities, and that is congestion pricing. Now, we've been hearing a lot about it. It's all over the news, and
Right.
And it's something that we sort of knew was coming, but now it's here.
Yeah, it's
happening.
Yeah.
So, you've sent over some really interesting material on this. And I think one of the things that's really interesting is that it's not just about the drivers.
Right.
It's not just about like, okay, how do we get people to not drive into the city as much?
Yeah.
It's about the impact on businesses.
Yeah.
Small businesses.
Yeah.
The whole office market. It's really
now people are moving around the city.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah. So we're going to really dive into this and try to understand like what are
the second order effects. Yeah.
Yeah, the second and third order effects of this. And what's actually happening on the ground.
Absolutely.
So I think one of the first things that really jumped out at me from the material you sent over is just this idea that, congestion pricing adds this whole new layer of cost to doing business in a place like Manhattan.
Absolutely.
And it's not just, the businesses themselves having to pay to get into the zone if they're, if they have vehicles or whatever.
Right.
It's also the suppliers.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you see this in the material too.
Yeah.
Is that suppliers now have to bake in this extra cost for deliveries.
Right.
So, a small business owner in, Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, their deliveries of flour are more expensive.
Yeah. And the example of the material about this bakery.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one.
That's now like, okay, do we eat this cost or do we raise the price of bread?
Right.
For a lot of these businesses, especially small businesses, they're already operating on such thin margins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
They're
any little increase in cost
can really hurt.
Yeah.
It can have an outsized impact on their bottom line.
Yeah. It's a really tough situation to be in.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, like, we already know the office market in Manhattan has been struggling.
Right.
Post-pandemic.
Yeah. With more people working from home and everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is this going to be the thing that sort of like
the final nail in the coffin?
Pushes it over the edge.
Right. Right. And that's,
Because now companies are thinking like,
yeah,
okay, we're already paying a lot to be in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Now we're going to have to pay even more just to get our employees in and out of the city.
And it's a tough sell.
Yeah.
It's a tough sell to say to employees, hey, come back to the office, but oh, by the way, it's going to cost you an extra,
Great.
$20 a day or whatever it is to come in.
Yeah. And so it seems like this could really lead to businesses.
Yeah.
Maybe looking elsewhere.
Migrating to, Brooklyn or Queens or even across the river to Jersey.
Yeah. And that could have a real impact on the geography of the city.
Absolutely. It's changing the way we think about where we work.
Yeah.
Where we do business in the city.
Yeah. And so I guess the question is like, has congestion pricing actually changed how people move around the city?
Oh, it's definitely had an impact.
Yeah.
Like, what have you seen?
Well, I mean, for one thing, workers are definitely pushing back on these return to office mandates. They're saying, I don't want to pay this extra fee.
Yeah.
I'm already, dealing with the commute and everything.
Right.
Now you're going to make me pay even more.
Right. And it's not just the employees, right? It's also like
the clients.
Yeah.
Like think about it from a client's perspective.
Yeah. If you're a freelancer
and
you're trying to decide whether to take a meeting in Manhattan, knowing that your client might have to pay this extra congestion fee just to get there.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, it makes you think twice.
Yeah, absolutely.
About where you're willing to meet.
Yeah. And speaking of people who are feeling the pressure from this.
Yeah.
What about landlords?
Oh, boy.
They were already dealing with, low occupancy rates in these office buildings.
Right. And now you add this on top of it.
Yeah.
And it's
got to be tough.
It's a tough situation.
Yeah. And what's interesting from the material you sent is that it seems like they're getting really creative.
Yeah.
In trying to, stay competitive.
Right.
They're offering lower rents.
Yeah.
They're offering more flexible leases.
Even in some cases, they're offering to subsidize
a
portion of that congestion fee.
That's amazing.
It is. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
To see how they're responding to this.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder if this could actually shift the balance of power a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Between tenants and landlords.
You could see a situation where tenants have a lot more leverage now because landlords are so desperate to see these spaces.
Yeah, that's a really interesting dynamic.
It is.
But here's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because despite all these challenges, the material also talks about how businesses are adapting in some pretty surprising ways. So, for example, some businesses are just saying, you know what, forget it. We're going fully remote.
We're going fully remote. We're not even going to deal with the congestion zone. We're just going to have everyone work from home and avoid it altogether.
And then other businesses are getting really creative with their logistics. Like they're using cargo bikes for deliveries.
Cargo bikes or, consolidating shipments so that they're making fewer trips into the zone.
And it makes you wonder if this could actually lead to some positive unintended consequences.
Like a greener, more sustainable way of doing business in the city.
That's so cool.
It is. Yeah, it's a silver lining for sure. Amidst all the challenges. So I'm curious, looking ahead. Do you think we're going to see any tweaks
to the policy itself?
Yeah,
I mean, it's still early days.
Yeah.
But, the material does suggest that there are discussions about, maybe some exemptions for certain businesses. Or, tax breaks to help offset the costs. Or even, adjustments to the pricing structure itself. So there's a lot of different...
It seems like there's a lot of different levers that they can pull to try to find that sweet spot where they're, reducing congestion.
But also,
not killing businesses.
Not putting too much of a burden on the businesses that are, the lifeblood of the city.
I mean, it's a balancing act for sure. And it's not just something that New York is dealing with. I mean, this is a global issue. And it's worth looking at what other cities have done.
Like what about London and Stockholm? I know they've had congestion pricing.
They've been doing it for a while now. And they have some interesting lessons to share.
What have they seen?
Well, I mean, I think the main takeaway is that there is a period of adjustment. There's going to be some businesses that struggle. But in the long run, they've actually seen some positive results. In terms of reducing congestion, improving air quality, and even boosting economic activity in some cases.
That's amazing.
So it's not, it's not all doom and gloom. It's just... It's a process of adaptation.
So for you listening out there, this is just one piece of the puzzle. When we're talking about the future of cities, and how we're going to make them more livable,
more sustainable,
more equitable. Congestion pricing is one tool in the toolbox.
Absolutely.
But it's not a silver bullet.
No.
It's something that we need to think about carefully. And really weigh the costs and benefits. We've just scratched the surface here today. I encourage you to go out and do your own research. Learn more about this.
Absolutely.
And really think about what it means for the future.
For the future of our cities.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It was a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
See you later.